going to talk to you today is about a couple of terms that stuck in my head since I became a type designer. Thai Latinized typeface and Thai traditional typeface. What is Thai Latinized typeface? Sometimes it's just a question we just have to keep discussing. Some might say loopless typeface are considered Latinized. We might assume that it is Latinized because the form is similar to Latin. But if you understand the language, you think in it, write it, or read it your entire life, you understand that not every loopless typeface is Latinized. Some of you might remember the last year presentation by Panuwat Usakulwattana. He discussed this matter. If not, I suggest you look it up on YouTube. It's such a great one. So today I'm not going to repeat that again. What I'm going to do is move on to the next subject, which is quite relatable but with different examples. Which one comes to your mind when you hear Thai traditional typefaces? Most of you might say the one on your left, me as well. Whenever we say Thai traditional, you can't help but think of the loop. But the devil is in the detail. They are where you can determine different levels of the loop. I first discovered the issue when I participated in a Thai competition back in 2016. As a Thai designer, loop style is like my first love. So yes, I submitted a loop typeface and looking for the opinion from non-native judges. What would they say? How would they feel? Something like that. And the result was the judges categorized the loop typeface I submit as semi-traditional. I didn't expect that it needs to be seen as a Thai traditional or semi-traditional. My thought was, how did they know? What were their criteria? They don't use the language. I guess that the beginning of my curiosity, how do we determine the level of traditionalness of a typeface, especially to the eye of non-Latin, of non-native. Not long after, I encountered another term, and it has been bothering me. Yes, Latinized. Almost as every release, there are comments like, "Oh, this is Latinized typeface." I wonder what makes them think the way they do. It won't be surprising me from a non-native point of view, but what triggered me is similar comment from us native. So that probably proves their fixed idea about how a standard traditional typeface should look like. If you are interested in Thai evolution of loopless typeface in Thailand, there's an upcoming discussion arranged by my coworker Prompan tomorrow, so I will leave that to her. Now I want you guys to have a look at this. You are looking at the map of Southeast Asia, the land where most were once colonized by Westerners. Theoretically, Thailand is the only country in this region that has never been colonized officially. What I wanted to say is, even though Thailand has never been colonized, we have been influenced. Not so different from Laos, Myanmar, or Cambodia. The only difference would be those countries are forced by rule. We are forced by the word modernization. Yes, I said modernization, not development. This came from a book I read. It was written 48 years ago and still describes my country today. And as I said, even though Thailand wasn't colonized, we are affected by the movement. It's obvious we can see that everywhere. For example, Western-style buildings. Standing up tall in Thailand, extreme heat, but who cares, it's modern. And here, another example of the effect of Southeast Asia colonization. Due to Thailand's lack of knowledge about printing, first generation of typefaces were all worked by foreigners with the help of Thai people that speak English, which there were a few. Many of the design decisions were made by people who doesn't use the language, especially first for Thai typefaces, which Thai people today call them Thai traditional typefaces. But what exactly is a Thai traditional typeface? If we are going to speak of it chronologically, a typeface that would be considered traditionally rely on two factors: time of birth and time of existence. It had to exist and be used long enough to create familiarity to natives, which there are possibly three typefaces that fit the criteria. Which of these typefaces are actually Thai traditional? Apart from its birthplace, the first Thai typeface is Tua Liam. It's made in Myanmar by Nancy Johnson in 1831. Yes, our typeface is an italic. In the past, Thai script isn't upright as it is today. The tested of writing is evident. So Tua Liam is the first Thai typeface and is designed based clearly on handwriting. What you are looking at right now is a revival of Tua Liam by my former colleague, Sasikan Wong In. Before she worked on this typeface, Tua Liam is no longer present in typography, Thailand typography scenes. Kantalaksa book printed in 1844 is probably the only place where you will see the typeface. That's the reason why the revival named Kantalaksa. A little while later, Danwish Bradley, also known Dr. Bradley, who wrote the Kantalaksa book, designed a typeface in 1844. This typeface is the beginning of making Thai typeface upright, which had the same structure as Latin. It's presumed that Dr. Bradley looked at the typeface as if it is Latin. Plus, the upright construction is suitable for the procedure of casting, engraving, and setting. In the process of typeface printing, an upright structure also makes the metal type durable against pressure. This typeface is named after Dr. Bradley on its first use in Bangkok Recorder, Thailand's first newspaper. In 1858, Bradley, the typeface, is used as the typeface in Rashikitja Nubeksa, or the Royal Thai Government Gazette. What makes this interesting is that this typeface is designed by a private individual and is a foreigner. The typeface was made for his private company prior to the government use. All this proves that the earliest vision of creating a Thai typeface came from a foreigner. Later on, Bradley got a facelift. Curves were added. It was called Bradley curve, when the original Bradley typeface was called Bradley square. Bradley curve first debut was in 1861 in the book named Milad London, which is the first Thai book to be printed and sold. In 1865, Bradley curve replaced Bradley square as the headline typeface of Bangkok Recorder newspaper. Now Bradley square is used for text only. In 1898, the printing industry became prosperous. A lot of printing presses were born to serve the demand of books, resulted by the educational reform happening then. One of them is the Assumption printing press. They designed a typeface called Pharangsait. This was around 1913, and Pharangsait is still in use as a font today, compared to the other two. Besides being a history documented in an old book, Bradley curve can really be seen in contemporary typography. Bradley square and Tua Liam throw of Thailand typography scene completely. This made Pharangsait became the only first generation typeface. This is still in use today. There might be several things we don't know about this Thai traditional typeface. I think before we call something traditional, we should know a bit about it. We'll start from its name. People call it Thai traditional typeface ฝรั่งเศส or sometimes goes by ฝส short for ฝรั่งเศส It means French and it is a Thai typeface. Why French? We presume that the material used in the production of this metal type came from French, and the French are involved in designing it. Name of the designer were not documented, but Louis Lumiere is probably involved due to his role of managing the assumption printing press at the time. Compared to all typefaces during that time, Phosor is the first Thai typeface that doesn't rely its construction on handwriting. Phosor is designed specifically for printing. Decisions made on the form are more systematic. Logic behind the design became similar to Latin typefaces. For instance, visible contrast between horizontal and vertical strokes, similar to Latin typeface, that are widely used in the Westerner during that time. When in reality, having contrast in stroke rate is never a feature of Thai characters. Phosor was designed specifically for religious-related prints and educational books in a Christian school. And yes, Phosor is considered the first typeface that used officially in Thailand education system. Although this typeface is designed by a private individual and is a foreigner, Phosor was used by the government print and document. That was because printing presses back in the day needed to use metal type, and we can't deny that Phosor is the most capable. The resulted in the use Phosor everywhere. Design having visible contrast as its prominent feature, Phosor used two different systems of stroke, continuity and modularity, whereas the natural way of writing Thai script only consists of continuity. Basically, where a character is written in one stroke, unlike Latin, which strokes are modular. Imagine E uppercase. Having two stroke system create a distinct character that we can only see in Phosor. Other than that, Phosor solves several problems. For example, the balance problem of Georgian. Phosor adjusts the construction of Georgian, creating a more balanced structure compared to Bradley. There's a group of consonants that contains this mini diagonal stroke, which is actually huge, considering the space it took from the whole letter form, or loop that live inside or between two stems. This one, which is pitch type. In Phosor, the design of this consonant avoid continuous stroke intentionally to solve the color problem, similar to inkjet decision seen in Bell Centennial by Matthew Carter. But Phosor was born 60 years before Bell Centennial. Features I highlighted earlier, including the contrast, made Phosor different. When it says specifically for text, we can deny Phosor neat and polished compared to any typefaces in the market at the moment. Another distinctive feature of Phosor would be that Phosor is the first Thai typeface that have extended weight rigid bow. And this happened 50 years after Phosor was born. Although the system used in designing Phosor is quite logical, there are a few characters with unique special features. For instance, Lon Lua, the left one. We can see Thai looking from on the top, out of nowhere. My assumption would be that it is designed referring to the tail of Baskerville Q. Regarding the systematic design of Phosor, unlike traces of handwriting like other typefaces, it is highly possible that Phosor has Baskerville as its model. Due to the fact that Phosor is well designed, many of the typefaces in generation after took Phosor as a model. One of them is Pong Mai, a wood type designed specifically for headline. And as I said, Traditionally and naturally, Thai script is written with one stroke, with no contrast. For Saw was the opposite, completely opposite, which can be regarded as a breakthrough for the history of Thai typefaces. For Saw eventually became renowned for being the Thai traditional typeface. This might not make any sense if we are looking at this rationally, because the look of it are contradicting to what we would say traditional. And I figured out why. For Saw being used in the government documents, an educational material for a long period of time, meaning every person who is educated has read in Saw. The typeface creates familiarity to Thai people automatically. We kind of have no choice. We needed to accept Saw. I mentioned earlier that Saw is still in use today. It is, but under different name. That's because Saw is revived and renamed every time printing technology advances. Saw has been metal type, dry transfer, desktop font, and so on. All of them kept the intention of the original design, and this is the reason why I have the idea of redefining Saw through a different perspective. All of this through one single question: if Saw had a grandchild, what would it look like? To redefine this typeface, the first thing I did, of course, I named it Tutia, which means secondary, basically because it is a grandchild of Saw. The next thing is the proportion being as condensed as it is now is no longer necessary. The plan is to create a bigger family for this typeface. The proportion needs to be appropriate for light, for black, and so on. With the capability to maintain the original personality. And I actually think the impact in some of the looks are cool. But nowadays we don't have to worry about the accent ink that would ruin the whole thing anymore. So it makes no sense to keep them. The sleeves in some of the characters are not necessary too. Some are kept to maintain the balance between look and body, for example, ball by mai. However, the character such as Shaw Chang, design of the loop is changed. This means the sleeves are not necessary here either. The original design is on the top. Tutia includes both text and display version. For the display face, the bottom one, you can see that complicated shapes are simplified, but the personality is still there. And for the text, the middle one, I kept the design similar to the original shapes, which is on the top. But the text face counter will adjust in order to create more white space. This made it more legible for small size. And this is the final version of the typeface. Between Tutia and Saw, we can see a change of texture. However, there is a part of Tutia that reminds you of Saw. Yes, contrast. Contrast that I believe is a factor that makes non-native think this is the meaning of traditional. I did submit this typeface to the same competition for the second time. The comments from the judge were, this typeface has something new in the old or something old in the new. I kind of like the explanation actually, even though I don't really understand it. All in all, what I wanted to say for today is that we shouldn't label something without understanding its origin or background. We shouldn't hold on to something without understanding change. Outside of our field, we have no control whatsoever, but for Thai design, I think we do. Modernize with development is the key, regardless of being Latinized or traditional. As you know, culture change, the culture we all share. No one owns any culture completely, which typeface are a part of our culture. Typeface have been through exception, correction, and change. Its development is never-ending process, and this is simply how the world operates. Thank you.